Hello, everyone. Welcome to Life Journeys with Serena. My name is Serena. Today is Monday, August 18th already. I can't believe it. And it is 11 a.m. Pacific time, which is the time I do my weekly radio shows and now live stream on YouTube. So welcome. Today we are talking about the High Priestess. We are continuing our conversation as we're working our way through the Major Arcana in the Tarot. And I'm so excited about this conversation today, you guys. I cannot wait. This is one of my favorite cards out of the Major Arcana, and I just love the history that we get to talk about here and the lore and the archetype of the Divine Feminine. It's such a wonderful, there's just so many layers to it, and it's something that I don't get to talk about or geek out about very often. So if you are listening on 1-2 Radio and you would like to join us over on the YouTube live chat in our live stream, you can go to youtube.com/Life Journeys with Serena and click on, it'll be the first video that pops up on my channel. You can also find me in our Facebook chat. The link is posted as the banner right there. So without further ado, let's jump right into it. I'm going to pull up my, if you're watching on YouTube, you'll be able to see the Rider-Waite imagery for the most widely accepted imagery throughout Tarot of the High Priestess. And also, in the second half, I will be doing readings. So if you have any questions or would like to connect, go ahead and leave a comment in the chat, either on YouTube or Facebook, and I'll make sure to connect with you all. But I just want to jump right into this conversation because it is such a wonderful, there's so much to talk about. There's so much to talk about, and I can't wait to jump right into it. So this is the widely accepted imagery for the High Priestess card. And you can see there's a lot of details here to unpack. And we are going to be walking through the symbols of each the deep dive of each symbol within the image here. But first I want to talk a bit about the history. So if we go here, you can see this is some older, the Rider-Waite cards. They came out in the early 20th century, and they've been widely accepted for the past 100 years or so. But Tarot is so much older than that. We have some really incredible, history to dive into here because this archetype of the Divine Feminine has been around for a very long time, and there's a lot of and also, we have 15th, 16th century images to work with when it comes to Tarot. And so we have the I think it's a version of the Marseille deck in the middle, which is a 16th century widely accepted Tarot deck from France. And you see here the female Pope. And you may be sitting here going, I don't think there ever was a female Pope. What are you talking about? Now, there's a lot of controversy here because some people accept this as a part of history while others don't. And some have dismissed it entirely as myth, while others have said, other historians do accept it. So it's a bit controversial. But the imagery here of a female pope is what we still have kind of whispers of it in modern Tarot. You can still kind of see a bit of it here as well in the Tarot that we use today, and in also some of the creative versions of the High Priestess that we'll see. We'll talk about that later. But in the original bridge that we see here with the image of the High Priestess is you see a female pope. It is this controversy in itself of the female power within a traditionally patriarchal society. You have a balance of male and female. You have a balance of very structured religion and the freedom and flexibility that is feminine energy. And the controversy here historically is that this imagery is Pope Jane, the image in the center here. From the 9th century, I think it was 855, there was a female pope for 2 years. Now, some people dismiss this entirely and say we don't have enough proof. And it's been changed a lot. The story's been changed a lot throughout history. The Catholic Church has changed a lot of our evidence in that sense, and it's hard to navigate. But I think it tells an incredible story of whether you believe it's true or not. I think it is true. I've always loved this story. There was a woman who disguised herself as a man, and I believe there's some discussion about it. She's either English or German, and she disguised herself as a man and went and started studying a part of the papacy in Rome, and climbed eventually to being selected as a pope, and was pope for 2 years, and disguised herself successfully as a man, and her gender was only revealed when she gave birth. She went into labor in the middle of a event, basically, and so there's some controversy around how she died. Some people say she died in childbirth, other people say she was stoned to death right after giving birth, and it's truly a very honest story given how hard, the time was back then for women, but is also feels like something that many people in history wouldn't want to be true. You wouldn't want to have a female pope. There's other different controversial stories of different female popes, but the imagery that we see in traditional, in older tarot is often of Pope Jane. And so this is something that is just truly mind-boggling to me, and we see a lot. If you look closely at the center image here on the screen, you'll see a lot of similarities between this traditional imagery from the 15th, 16th century with the Rider-Waite imagery that we're going to jump right into now. You'll see there's the scroll, the crown, what looks like 2 columns on either side of her, right? And then if there's an older version also on the far right-hand side, La Papesse, right? The female pope. It's something that is just very taboo in its essence. And we're going to jump right into the energy that sits behind the High Priestess there as well. So, and before I jump into talking about the Rider-Waite imagery, I just want to say hi to you guys in the chat room. I see Steph is here. So glad you clicked on YouTube as well. Welcome. You get to see all of these images that I've pulled up for you guys. Quelly is here. Thank you for being here, my dear. So good to see you. And Shell, so glad to see you here, hun. Thanks for being here. I hope you're enjoying this topic of diving into the Divine Feminine and the High Priestess. Okay, so let's talk about some of the imagery here, and just so you have an idea. What we'll see here is we're going to dive into we're going to dive into her cloak, the water with the columns, her crown, the moon symbols, the pomegranates behind. We're going to look into all of these things. And I love this version of a deep dive when it comes to talking about the Major Arcana, because this is what helps me lock in certain aspects of my memory. So when I pulled this card, if I were just studying this for the first time, the imagery is what would help me remember, oh, right, it has this detail to it or this aspect to it. Or I'm supposed to ask this question and reflect in this way. The history helps me as well. And remember, because there are a lot of aspects of that specific story that I told you that have very significant lessons and messages with this card. And I'll do a full circle there as well. So let's take a look at the different images, the symbols here, and we'll start with the pillars. So you have a black pillar on the left and a white or gray pillar on the right. And historically, these are connected to Solomon's temple. They can also symbolize yin and yang. The letters B and J are, let's see if I can remember how to say it right. Is it Beelzebub? for one of Satan's demons, and Yahweh, right, for God, or Boaz and Yakim. So you have this evil and good, light and dark, yin and yang, right? The controversy here, but also the balance. There's it ties you to higher realms, right? And it's something that is a significant, the fact that she is positioned directly in the center of good and evil is very significant. And so now let's take a look at her crown. This is actually tying into the Egyptian goddess of Isis. So while the pillars have this significant connection to religion and that form of spirituality with Christianity and Judaism, right? The crown connecting to the Egyptian goddess of Isis, as well as the cycles of the moon, you can see it's 2 crescent moons with the full moon in the center, is a very different form of spirituality. So again, we have balance there as well. It's connected to magic. It's connected to the cycles, the full lunar cycle, right? You have both crescents and the full moon in the center. And it just ties everything to the mother, the maiden, and the crone. You have all the maiden, mother, and the crone, right? The life cycle that you have there. So all stages of the divine feminine. Now let's look at the cross that's on her robe, right? You have an equal armed cross. It's a very long tradition, the symbolic tradition associated with spirituality, religion, Christianity. But it's also commonly seen as an astrological symbol to represent Earth. So our bridge between this spirituality, religion, and our physical world that we're in right now. Another thing about that veil that crosses that boundary. Now, the High Priestess is the element of this card is water. And if you look at the bottom of her cloak, you'll see a very, a crescent moon, and then her robe actually turns into water. So this is water is connected to emotions. It's connected to intuition. It always has, we have the cup symbols always connected to emotions. If you are a water sign, you experience the world through your feelings, right? And it's a big connection here as well to like mysterious forces in that sense. We all, with the fact that we have the moon paired here, that symbolism of connecting back to cycles, right? We have the connection between water and the moon with the tides of the ocean and the moon cycles. And it's something that is so bonded and connected, but we have for such a very long time didn't always fully understand. So there's so many symbols within this one portion of the card that connect to the divine feminine. And the fact that her robe turns into the water, she is feeling, she is emotion. Now let's look at the veil that's behind her. The tapestry is what it looks like, is maybe being hung between the two pillars, is how I see it. The veil symbolizes, before we even dive into what's on it, that the veil between our realm and the spiritual realm, between here and heaven, between here and our ancestors. She is sitting at that bridge, right? Now, you have pomegranates and palms on the veil. The pomegranate is associated with Persephone, with Hades, with the underworld, with death, but with death and with life as well. It's connected to that rebirth cycle. So you have traditional mythology at play, as a very significant role here. And it's also, pomegranates are also a very feminine symbol representing life. Sorry, my dog is kicking my camera. All right. So that's our history there with pomegranates. With the palms, we have, the date palm is connected to the Egyptian goddess of Hathor. And she feeds the descended from trees, from the palm tree, and it represents the fluidity of life, the shifting in and out of life. And let me see. All right, you guys. I think I'm going to have to take a quick break and I will be back. And I apologize for the change up here, but I'm going to take a quick break and I will check back in with you guys in just a few minutes, all right? Sorry about that. Thank you, guys. There we go. Sorry. I was just saying that I'm going to end this live stream early. Mama duties are calling and I am going to be off. But I will post another video with a full deep dive into the High Priestess so we can continue our conversation about the Major Arcana. And I'm loving connecting with you all about that. So thank you so much for being here, you guys. And if you are watching live and you haven't watched the previous videos about the Fool and the Magician, go ahead and check that out. So thank you for being here, and I will connect with you all soon.